Harry, this is Laura Potato. And this is, well, what if Asta was, well, pure evil? Or incarnation evil? Someone asked me about the what if, in the comments saying, yeah, can you make what if Asta was evil? And I had an idea. I still have an idea. Somewhat. I'll explain this later. But yeah, so it's what if Asta was evil? So yeah, let me go into this what if, and let me shut the fuck up. So we go into Asta right now, just in, well, the Habit village or whatever it's called. Of course, Asta was kind of treated a little bit differently. Like, people kind of really didn't like Asta and his loud attitude, so Asta kind of had to tone it down. But of course, Asta, he still get his 5-leaf grimoire. He still kind of like help They still wanted to go become the Magic Knight. Basically, the Wizard King. Of course, that all happens, and we go into Asta becoming a Black Bull. Of course, we're just gonna go time skip this because it kind of goes on its own canon. The one things that kind of change is kind of Asta's personality. Asta is a little bit loudmouth sometimes, but those are just, stuff that he kind of has to act on. But yeah, we go into Asta right now defending the capital from, the Eye of the Midnight. From Razor and Sally and even those people, but yeah. Of course, Asta was captured. That's where Asta meets the Wizard King, and yeah. But we don't go any further than that. We go into Asta right now. In the capital, the kingdom capital. He hasn't even went back to the Black Bulls. No, he is right now going through here, and right now looking for stuff that he might need. Of course, this is where, Asta is 5'1" still. I should mention this. But I'll mention this later. But yeah, I'll mention something later. But of course, we go into Asta right now in the capital looking for stuff. That's where he says, here it is. He grabs this paper that, a kind of book and notes and paper that he managed to kind of get into the magic, kind of like the king of capital and all that Wizard King stuff. Because he has no mana and no one can sense him that easily. They can clearly see him, but also somehow managed to kind of juke almost everyone out and managed to get to, the Wizard King's kind of headquarters. Now, Julius wasn't there. Julius was somewhere else. And Marx was with, the king, trying to comfort the king with what is happening and all that. What happened after, but yeah. But of course, Asta sees the book that he needs. It's this book that has, the whole defense and also, strategies and all that for, the Clover Kingdom. And of course, he says, interesting. So this is what I need. He kind of said in his head. That's where, he starts walking away. Of course, he does have his 5-leaf grimoire with him to the side of him, but yeah. Asta was about to walk backwards to the door until he accidentally bumped something down, and of course, it fell down. This is where the Magic Knights that were there kind of at the kind of door were getting towards their station to be at the doors to protect it mostly from anyone intruding. They hear the noise and of course they go inside and they see, the first thing they see is Asta holding a book that's very important to the Clover Kingdom. This is where they say, hold there! Wait, aren't you from the Black Bulls? This is where the Asta kind of goes towards him. This is where he transforms his hand into this red claw. Like, his whole hand becomes red. Even the kind of clothing, it kind of becomes a little bit red. And of course, he rushes through them and easily cuts their necks off. Just mostly cuts, kind of rips through their necks and easily kills them. Asta says, oh, shut up, you're a little too loud. He kind of uses his reddish hand to clean his air, but yeah. This is where, he kind of takes out some stuff from his ear, and this is where he starts walking away. His hand goes back to normal. This is where, a person, who clearly looks like Asta, says, very interesting. I don't even know how I have to deal with so many idiots. Whatever. This is where, well, Asta, who is right now just walking, he kind of gets through another way out until, well, he kind of sees Julius. Julius says, "Ah, hello there, Asta. You mind giving me that book that you have in your hand?" Asta looks at the book, and kind of just puts it behind him and says, No. I need it for Master Sama. And you are someone pathetic to Master Sama. So, well, Julius sighs, and this is where he appears right now trying to put Asta in a time bubble. Time bubble prison. This is where, well, the thing jumps away so fast that, well, Julius was surprised. Well, magic that he can sense from Asta. He's extremely fast. This is where, well, Julius says, very interesting. When the first time I met you, I swear to God, I felt like I could never trust you. Now I see you trying to betray the capital. Asta, just give me the book and I will forgive you and all this. As the word of the creature named Asta says, "Oh, sorry, but I'm not gonna do that. I don't care about being, what's it called, forgiven or not. I really don't care. You, on the other hand, is not my master." This is where he rushes at Julius with his hand transforming back into this reddish-like color, and of course it's like a black wear suit that's around, mostly like a collar thing or whatever, and around his hand. His hand is purely red and kind of looks like cloth, and of course this is where, well, Julius had to dodge from the red claw. That's where he jumps, well, doesn't jump away, just mostly teleports away because of his time ability. This is where, well, Asta says, "Damn, your ability is so annoying." But that's not the point. Portals. This is where multiple portals appear, and this is where he says, he doesn't say anti-magic, he says, "Swords of crimson red, shooting stars from portal dimension." This is where multiple, like, what's called red swords starts flying through, and this is where, well, Julius has to dodge. He's saying, "No, this isn't Asta. Asta doesn't have magic. The last time I saw him, no, whoever this is, I can't tell who he is exactly." This is where, well, another portal appears from on top of Julius. Julius has to just teleport away, and this is where he says, "It's very interesting. He's fast. His teleportation magic, or whatever it is able to send weapons through them without him even, well, using his own, what's it called, like throwing weapons through it." This is where, well, this person kind of activates the 5-leaf clover that he has with him, the 5-leaf. And of course, the word, well, he pulls out the anti-magic sword. He realizes that the sword's actually draining his magic, and that's why he says, "I can't use it for much longer." He starts trying to slash at Julius with the sword, even going through portals and all that. This is where he starts trying to cut Julius, and Julius is dodging, saying, "I see. Very interesting. You seem to also be having a little bit of trouble of using that sword." This is where the person says, "What if I am?" This is where he throws the sword, but right now wraps it in red chains and tries to hit Julius, like with a wide range, because the sword is very, like, long and big. This is where, well, Julius almost gets hit by it, but he just manages to teleport away from it. But yeah, this is where, well, the person goes, "So annoying. You are." This is where, well, he brings back the, the sword. He still has it in his hand, but his, what's it called, well, mostly face starts cracking. Like, everything around his face starts cracking, all that. Around his body. Julius says, "So, you might not be Asta, are you?" This is where the person goes, "I am Asta. You just don't understand as well. I'm not really Asta. But that's not the point. You should die." This is where he rushes at Julius with the sword in his hand being crimson red right now. This is where, well, Julius was about to put him in a time bubble until someone appears. Somewhere, axe kicking Julius, almost hitting him in the head. And Julius had to teleport away. And this is where it's a girl with kind of like grayish hair. And of course her eyes kind of being a little bit red slit. This is where she says, "Damn, you're an idiot." What's it called? This is where, well, The girl says, "Oh, god damn it, Hakayami, you fucking idiot. You're really gonna lose, you really gotta lose the, well, kind of Master Sama's, what's it called? Well, illusion, shouldn't you?" This person who's right now, Asta, says, "Fine." This is where, well, an illusion, well, the cracks started breaking off, fully faster. And this is where, well, Julius was confused. This person that he was fighting against, Asta, was supposed to be 5'1", but grew to be kind of looking like 6'1" a little bit. This is where, well, this is how he would look like. He kind of has what's called like reddish and blackish flames kind of appearing, like kind of oozing off from his body. Even his head is kind of like that. Having cracks of red in his eyes, having this greenish like smile, and having like this red kind of halo around him that's kind of like broken a little bit. But yeah, that's how he looks like. So of course, where, well, he kind of says, "Okay, screw you, Raven." This is where, well, the girl who is kind of supposed to be Raven is kind of saying, "You really said my name, you idiot." This is what she looks like. Raven's a girl with kind of palish skin, kind of having sharp teeth, red eyes, and of course, this is where, well, grayish hair. She also be able to kind of control this red, dark kind of stuff that can cover around her body to make it way stronger. This is where, well, she says, "You're an idiot for doing something like that." This is where, well, they decide to say, "But whatever, we must leave. Let's go." Akayami. This is where Akayami says, "Fine." This is where he makes a, like, portal made with red and darkness. And this is where, well, Raven jumps through it. And this is where, well, Akayami says, "Ha, it seems that you're going to lose, Julius. Our Lord will come back and destroy this kingdom, destroying the pathetic peace that you have." He smiles with his teeth being kind of reddish and being sharp. This is where, well, he jumps, well, kind of like falls through the portal. And of course, the portal disappears before Julius was able to go through it. This is where he can't sense the magic from them. For some reason, the magic link for them are kind of different from Julius. Julius does not understand. Master? Who are they talking about? This is where, well, Julius decides to think about this later. Now he has to get to the Black Bulls to wonder if Asta, the real Asta, is there. If not, then who did they just accept if it's not Asta? This is where, well, they kind of, the next day kind of happens. Julius does manage to get to the Black Bulls in very fast speed. Talks to Yami about where's Asta. Yami says Asta should be in his room. That's where Julius goes through it and sees no Asta. No one being in the room for such a long time. This is where Julius smashes his hand upon, well, the door. This is where Yami says, "Huh? What is happening?" Julius says, "Asta betrayed us. I can't even tell if it was Asta or not. This being kind of took a form of Asta. I can't tell if it was Asta himself, his true self, or just a being that managed to take over Asta and managed to kind of kill Asta or something. I don't know." That's where we go into the two beings are kind of walking towards, well, a kingdom, a kind of like castle kingdom looking like. They walk through, some of the guards kind of bow down their heads and says, Akayami and Raven, you're back. They said it in such a dark, hush voice, but yeah. These soldiers look to be knights, but with dark armor, with black, dark armor. This is where, well, they are going through, and this is where Akayami says, whatever, at least I have the book. Now, we have a step closer to kind of being able to destroy all nobles and royalties. This is where, well, Raven says, I guess so. I wonder if Master Sama would be so happy. Maybe he would be happy that I actually helped you in escaping. This is where Akayami says, I would have easily escaped from Julius, the Wizard King. Besides, did you finish your plan? Blame it all on the purple orcas? Of course. Besides, he was already a scumbag anyway. I found out more information from him, and he did give information. You remember those Eye of the Midnight attack or whatever. Yeah, I know. Well, he is the one to sell out information towards, well, the, what's it called? The, well, Eye of the Midnight. From the, what's called, well, capital, just for money. It wasn't, she said it wasn't much stuff for me to do, to frame him. Clearly, he's just a fucking scummy bastard. This is where Akayami says, I guess so. So, you got the book, and we got the framing. Now, all we need to do is talk to my master Sama. This is where they go into a specific room, and this is where, well, before they go into a room, there's somewhat like someone in the front of the door. Right now, kind of like putting like magic around the door, containing something behind that door. This is where this person has a blindfold, having like a blindfold, but of course there's like an eye, like some kind of eye on her forehead or something. This is where it's green. Of course, this is where she has like this green paw, and right now sending like spells and magic towards this door. And this is where, well, there's someone like green aura appearing around her. But yeah, the two guards are right next to her. Right now, not doing anything. Mostly right now, just standing by, just in case anything happens. This is where Akayami and also, well, Raven says, "What are you doing here?" The person is named Shimira. Raven says, "So what are you doing here, Shimira?" This is where Shimira turns around and says, "Ah, so how was your mission, you two?" This is where Raven says, "Pretty good. I managed to frame the purple orcas or whatever their name is." This is where Akayami says, "I managed to get the book and the information that we need to attack the capital for." Shimira looks like this. She looks like this. Of course, she does have green horns, but yeah. Of course, she does have like an eye in the middle and multiple eyes like around her, but yeah, like two green eyes. But of course, she is, well, this kind of like dark mage a little bit, but yeah. Of course, this is where, well, also, if you're wondering where that picture is from, well, AFK Arena. The other two pictures, I actually don't know where they're from, but I just kind of took a picture because I had ideas for, well, something like this. But yeah, of course, well, let me go back into what if. Shimira says, "So, that's good to know. Let me just reinforce this door more. Master Sama, what's it called, powers keep growing and growing. So, I suggest you keep, like, kind of down low, and not to piss him off." That's where Raven says, "Besides, he won't hurt me. Besides, he's too nice." Shimira says, "Whatever." That's where, well, Akayami says, "So can we go in?" Yeah. Shimira is just done with the magic, and this is where she says, "Go ahead." This is where they go through, and all of around is nothing but pitch. And I mean pitch black. They can barely see their hands or even their face. And yes, what Kakayami does kind of let out a reddish glow, and that can barely be seen. This is where they say, "Lord." This is where both of them bows down by kind of like kneeling down in one leg and kind of like bowing down. They have to kneel down. They have to kneel down in one leg because of the pressure of this place. This is where, well, the darkness started kind of being absorbed back and kind of transforming a being. A being that looks to be, well, 6'3". This is where this being has kind of whitish hair with black highlights, like barely even any whitish. Of course, he looks to have tattoos around him. Kind of this grayish kind of like, it looks like to be his shirt, but he has it in his waist instead. Blackish pants, and of course the darkness around him, like pitch black darkness, started to kind of become like flames around him. And this is where he gets out of it, and this is where he has pure white eyes. This is where, well, his green dot eyes appear in his pure white eyes. This is where, well, he looks down and says, "Ah, Akayami and Raven, how is your mission?" This is where both of them say, "Hello, Master Asta. We finally got our missions done." This is where Asta smiles and says, "Good." Asta walks from the darkness towards them. This is where pressure, every time he walks, like the ground cracks underneath him, thanks to his pressure. This is where he's saying, "Good to know that, well, you two actually managed to complete the mission. So, Akayami, can I have the book?" "Yes." Yes, sir. He gets up and gives it towards Asta. Asta takes it and says, good. Can I also have my grimoire? Or, mostly my brother's grimoire. It's where someone appears, like, also with him. Kind of being, also kind of like 6'5", well, in his kind of humanish form, but right now he's in a demon small form, and it's Libby. And Libby kind of transformed out of his actual, well, true height and all that. He then grabs the 5-leaf clover and says thank you. This is where, well, he kind of takes it away from what's called Akayami. This is where, well, Libby kind of says, I see you used the demon dweller. I also see you managed to get one of the other swords. Demon, what was it? Was it demon sword? No, it was demon sword that he had original, that big ass sword. The demon dweller was the smaller sword, but yeah. And I think the demon fighter was the other one. I can't remember, but yeah. That's what Libby says. Good. I have 2 of the swords. Now it'll be much easier when I cut down demons. This is where Asta says, calm down, twin brother of mine. We will get our revenge for every cruel thing this world has done to us. Asta smiles with this like evilish grin, like his teeth are sharp and all that. This is where he has multiple tattoos, what it looks like around us. This is where, well, he says, but still, one day we'll get our revenge, and when we do, we will dominate this world and other worlds for our very, very revenge in how this world treated us. This is where, well, Raven like smiles and says, yeah, sir. This is where her face is kind of like pinkish a little bit. Of course, she's kind of like amazed with Asta and how his words are. And so Akayami nodded, he bows down also and says, yes, sir. We will. This is where Asta says, good. Then let's call a meeting with the others commanders and how they're doing with their mission. This is where, well, we go into a time skip of which Julius talking to the Black Bulls. Right now, Yami's confused. He was always confused with Asta. Asta's a loud mouth, but sometimes can be quiet and serious. But not in battle, just seems to kind of like absorbing information by looking everywhere. Of course, that's good and all that. But he kind of looks like to kind of see everyone's weakness and strengths and all that from the Black Wolves. He was confused with that, but he didn't understand it much. Of course, Yuno was shocked the most when he managed to get a little bit of information from, well, what's it called? From, well, the, what's it called? Other squads were mentioned about how Asta was somewhat of a traitor. And of course, when Yuno got this information, he kind of falls down in kind of despair and sadness. The fact that, well, one of his longest friends and brother was a traitor. Julius kind of what's it called, disclaimed that of him being a traitor because they don't actually know if he's a traitor or someone just managed to catch him and managed to lock him up somewhere and also managed to transform as him. They don't know what timeline that stuff might have happened. This is where Yuno is shocked. He's confused. When? How? Damn it. He wasn't strong enough. He couldn't protect Asta. This is where, well, he is there with the other, like what's called squads are like all in this big kind of place with Julius kind of talking to them. But yeah, this is where, well, Julius says, we're going to have to need every person on, well, deck duty to kind of be, well, protecting the civilians and nobles and king. We cannot let whoever this person is or these two people are be able to get ahead of us. This is where, well, Julius is talking, but this is where we go into a place and a table that's pretty round, and of course having a bunch of different people. Right now, Akayami and also Raven are right next to each other, sitting down. Of course, this is where Akayami is actually drinking like some tea. This is where Raven is drinking some coffee. This is where the others are all just looking around. Some of them are eating, some of them are drinking. Some of them just kind of looks around and kind of observe everyone. But yeah, that's where, well, someone has wings and like dark horns. And of course, like this lightish glow from like their eyes and kind of rib cage and kind of like a glow behind them, like to look like they have hair. This person It's named, well, Fallen. But yeah, there's another one who kind of has similar kind of outfits or whatever, but he has like this black aura, and of course having it around his whole body, but red, like a reddish glow in his hand because he's kind of just looking at it. And right now looking at also Fallen. So this person named Ochita, who actually just stands for Fallen in English, and this person is named Kura, who actually just stands for dark in what's called the English. But yeah, of course this is where another group is just sitting down, but mostly it's just one person who has kind of like this Joker mask and on it, and of course like smiling and having reddish eyes, and having a crown that's kind of having like blue, red, and green kind of like minerals on it. And of course he's having like multiple cards in his hand, kind of just playing around. His name is Joker. So where the next entity is like right next to him. This person has, well, this golden ring around him that has kind of wings, and of course wings on his back. Of course is where he kind of has rings of gold and all that, and his like hand and all that, but it's kind of pitch black, like his, well, hands and mostly his body, because his head has mostly these red eyes. And of course he has this like kind of divine kind of presence, but also at the same time being sadistic. This is where it's the same with Joker. Joker had the sadistic side, well, mostly this synthetic sadistic kind of presence. This is where it was the same with this guy, and well, even Fallen. This is where Fallen had a divine side, but yeah, Raven, who is this girl, kind of had, well, a kind of sadistic side, or not sadistic, yeah, mostly the sadistic kind of presence. But yeah, of course, where, well, there was another one with kind of having a black cloak around his head. Of course his face is fully black, but having like red teeth and all that. He kind of looked like a skeleton a little bit, because he had no mouth. Of course his one eye kind of had to be like an X shape, and the other one kind of being like just normal, but yeah, having kind of whitish eyes and grinning like a madman. And so the next person had kind of these bluish eyes that showed to kind of have like diamonds around his like, well, kind of one dot blue eye, or not dot blue eye, mostly dot black eye. But of course he also had a third eye that was, instead of being white around the thing, it was red and kind of blue and all that. Of course like black spots were around his face. Of course this is where, well, he kind of just smiles at everyone. He had this somewhat unholy presence. So almost all of them had unholy, some of them had holy, but yeah. That's where next one was this other person with whitish long hair, kind of having horns sticking out of his head, and also, well, near his chin and all that. That's where he had about 5 eyes in total, and having this pinkish flames appearing from his hand. Right now glaring at the guy who was kind of smiling and who had 3 eyes. This is where, well, this person seems to have like this holy and unholy kind of presence at the same time. This is where the next person next to him was a person with just having this one like sharp teeth and all that, kind of just grinning like a madman. But of course multiple eyes are just appearing like on top of him. Multiple of them. Of course he was holding this kind of potion because he was just drinking it. Of course, well, he didn't seem to care about anyone else. He also had a very unholy but at the same time holy presence with his eyes. They were all different, but yeah. So where, well, oh wait. There was these 2 beings that were right next to, well, another being that was this. This being was kind of having like this golden and yet red kind of place and all. Of course, where, well, he was basically unholy and holy presence around him with his other 2, well, kind of like basically captains or generals. One was a girl and one was a dude with 4 arms. But yeah, the girl had 4 arms also, but their abilities would be kind of interesting later. And having someone like a general, well, with them, being able to transform a lot. That's where the last being was just pure, made out of darkness, and of course didn't like look at anyone, was mostly in the shadows right now, being in darkness. He was under like the seat, and of course just sitting there because he didn't like anyone else. So where, well, yeah, you already know how Akiyami looks like. And this is where Shimurai was also there, kind of looking at some spells in her grimoire. Her grimoire was basically green and bluish and all that. But yeah. But this is where, well, Asta walks through some doors. Of course, this is where there's multiple knights all around him. Well, not all around him, kind of just in the side of him right now, doing anything to just protect their lord. That's where Asta's walking calmly, but of course, a very huge presence overwhelms everyone. Now, of course, Asta isn't pissed. It's just his presence is so thick, so heavy. At the same time, you really don't expect if he's angry or not. Nah, it's just his aura kind of keeps increasing. It's where Asta saying, "Hello there, all of you. All of my elite commanders. Now, we're here to talk about the Clover Kingdom and also the other 3 kingdoms. Please explain to me about half of the other 3 kingdoms and how they're doing." That's where, well, the darkness dude kind of appears into his kind of like darkness creature side, and of course he is right now just sitting. This is where, well, Asta looks at him and says, "Void, tell me, how is the, well, Spade Kingdom doing?" Void explains in his kind of raspy and deepest voice, saying, "Well, it seems that there's a super war in their midst between people that use demons, devils, and kind of their power to fight against weakling humans that don't understand the devil power is a little bit stronger than them. But of course, the 3 main people that have very powerful devils seems to just, well, not be able to control much of their power. I managed to fight the leader, and I would have easily killed him if it wasn't for you telling me not to." Asta nodded, saying, "Good. At least you know." That's where he looks at the others. One with multiple eyes says, "May I speak, my lord?" That's where Asta says, "Sure, I'll give you permission." The high dude, who was actually named was Calm. His name was just called the Eyes, and of course they were, well, he says, "Well, from my understanding, from me managing to keep multiple eyes on the different kingdoms, the Diamond Kingdom seems to be in utter disarray since they are trying to get power. Well, of course, losing both from the Spade and, well, the Clover Kingdom. Of course, they have 4 shining generals, if I can see from it. 4, that's where another person says is 8. That's where the eye says, "Oh, my bad. I cannot really see. I'm not much of a fighter, like I said, my lord. I am someone that can see anything and everything into someone's future, into someone's past, into someone's, well, lives, presence, but I cannot see them clearly. I am still trying to do my best. I cannot see them from far away, so I only have my eyes in kind of different occasions. I am not at my full power, so I might mistake a lot of things." Asta nodded and says, "Continue then." The Eyes. This is where the Eye says, "Okay. In the Heart Kingdom, from what I can look, it seems to have a peaceful place. No hatred between the nobles or even the, well, lower people, but yeah. This is where, well, the Queen I have not seen in a while." This is where, well, he then talks about the Spade Kingdom. He says, just like how Void said, the kingdom seems to be in utter disarray. Awesome. Of course, this is where, well, the only thing I see is a bunch of war and fights and all them other things. It's not like different from the Diamond Kingdom either. But from the Clover Kingdom, from how I see, is basically nobles hating the poor, the commoners, and hating the Forbidden Lands. But I also managed to keep my eye on a special place. Thanks to Akayami, they're kind of telling me this place. This place is where, well, some people are holding these kind of stones. I do not know what they are. And really, I don't care what they are. Shumrai does have one of those stones. Shumrai kind of holds up this kind of like greenish stone. Of course, like greenish magical stone. Saying that she managed to kind of take it from a place before some people from the Eye of the Midnight attack. That's what I was talking about. And of course, Yamato says, yeah, I have the stone. I can feel its magical power, she said. This is where, well, Asta says, then keep it if you can feel it. This is where she nodded. This is where, well, the eye says, but for my location, I cannot find the location of the Eye of the Midnight. Whatever they are planning, it could be good and work in our favor, or it could be bad, and it could be just a kind of bullshit reason to fight against him. Asta nodded and says, I guess so. I guess you're right. So, he looks at both Fallen and even Dark. Dark is with this kind of person with kind of like darkish tone, like I mentioned, and having like this dark armor and having a reddish glow and all that. This is where, well, he was paying attention. Yes, sir. And this is where Fallen was the person with kind of wings and having like this whitish eyes, saying, yes, my lord, did you say something? Asta says, your two missions is to kind of follow, well, after the Eye of the Midnight. If you can get any information and what they actually want, maybe we can help them, or maybe we're gonna have to exterminate them. But just like how everyone here is able to kind of go into, well, a shape-shifting form, this is where, well, yes, that's how Akayami did actually manage to shapeshift into Asta, into a past life Asta. But yeah, this is where, well, both Fallen and even Dark says, yes, we understand. We will exterminate or find out what they want. Good. Make sure to get some of their followers and, well, become into them. If you manage to get higher tier, well, information from the other higher top tier followers, then please allow them to, well, understand, well, if they don't actually comply with our rules, then exterminate them. Exterminate them like the bugs they are. This is where both of them nodded. That's where Asta says, but may you continue, the eyes. The eye says, like I said, of course, from what I can understand from, well, the kind of like difference of the Eye of the Midnight is I only found two people that are quite interesting. A girl who seems to really not like clothes. Is a word, well, let's just say, she seems to be psychopathic at the same time, wants to experiment on anything. So she could be good to be as a shapeshift as her. And another person with kind of eyes, well, one eye and another one kind of having the symbol of the Eye of the Midnight. And kind of being insane, insanity, kind of crazy, and hasn't had that much logic in his brains. From what I can see, I managed to actually use my ability to see into his past. His past seems to kind of show that he was betrayed, thrown out of, well, something called the purple. Was it the purple orcas? I can't actually remember. I think it was the other one. The pink flamingos or something like that. It's where he was talking about that. And this is where he seems to hate the Clover Kingdom so much for it. Despise him. But of course, there's a good chance you can easily use this grimoire since it's only one page. That's right, well, Fallen says, I will take the razor dude. Dark, who says, I don't know how to act crazy to be like a girl, since my emotions are different. Asta nodded. Is there any other ones that are actually able to use anything else than the girl? That's where, well, the person says, well, about that, I think I saw one more, but this one is a little bit closer to the leader. It could be a little bit trickier because you must be able to use portal magic, but dark type of portal magic. It's a where, well, Asta says, interesting. So it won't be easy for, well, Akayami being able to transform into that person. No. It's where Raven says, ooh, can I be the girl? No, you need to be ready to experiment on anyone. She says, I can experiment on them. This is where, well, yeah, the eye says, but you do a shitty job on it. This is where she says, what did you say? This is where Asta says, calm down, both of you. He also says, calm down, both of you. This is where both of them nodded and says, yes, sir. That's where Asta says, maybe I can somewhat swing her to our side. Get information from her. That's where, well, Asta's thinking in his head. Okay. Then, how about you? What's it called? He says, how about you, Joker? Joker, who's this guy with kind of crowns and having an organization for multiple followers for the Joker clan, says, oh, well, for me, I managed to become, well, having some of my jester followers, decides to go around the kingdom and find out information on what the other kingdoms like. We find some weaknesses, some points and all that. Some of us gets killed, some of us gets run over by the 4 kingdoms. But for the Heart Kingdom, they're friendly enough to kind of let us in. Very interesting. Idiotic, I must say. But we managed to get some information from the Heart Kingdom. So where, well, the others started kind of explaining some of the information they already know. A little bit from the kind of Diamond Kingdom, the Spade Kingdom, Heart Kingdom. The only 2 people that were there at the Clover Kingdom was both Raven and Akayami. Akayami explains how Julius can use this time magic. It might get in our way a lot. It's where, well, Raven explains that the purple orcas can turn from invisible and not be able to get hit by anything. But of course, he will have to be in prison for the longest point for the fact that he has some dirty information on him. Of course, where, well, we go into, well, back into the Clover Kingdom. Of course, the Clover Kingdom is kind of, well, trying to find the magic stones. And of course, where Asta's group is trying to kind of dominate the whole world. That's where the Eye of the Midnight is trying to collect the magic stones for the rebirth. But who do you think will be able to find all of this and manage to stop each other? Well, you're going to have to find out next time on part 2 of What If Asta Was Evil. Yes, I'm going to leave it off here for part 2. But other than that, have a nice potato day, potato night, potato seed, potato, and good night. I know that all of you are wondering why no 1 hour, because I don't want to. Not bye. Shush.